Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak about something transformative spiritual purification. This is not a lofty concept reserved for saints or mystics. No, it is a process available to everyone who desires to rise above the distractions of life and connect deeply with their Creator. Let me start by saying this: spiritual purity is not perfection, it is alignment. It is the intentional pursuit of a heart that seeks clarity, peace, and purpose in a chaotic world. Spiritual purity begins with a deep understanding of its essence. It is not about achieving flawlessness or living without mistakes, but about aligning your life with divine principles. Purity, in its truest form, is a state of clarity where your inner being is free from the clutter of negativity, distractions, and moral confusion. It is the ability to reflect the divine nature within you, just as a clean mirror reflects light. To understand the nature of purity, we must first recognize that it is a journey, not a destination. Too often, people view spiritual purity as a final state of perfection, something only the extraordinary or saintly can achieve. This misconception discourages many from pursuing it. However, spiritual purity is less about being without fault and more about an ongoing commitment to growth and alignment with the Creator's will. It is the daily effort to refine your thoughts, words, and actions to reflect the values of truth, love, and compassion. At its core, purity is about intention. What drives your decisions? What fuels your motivations? The heart as a source of your intentions must be examined continuously. When your heart is pure, your actions follow suit, leading to a life that uplifts others and glorifies the divine. Yet, purity does not happen automatically. It requires self-awareness and intentionality. It starts with asking questions like, what guides my choices? Are my thoughts in line with principles that foster peace and integrity? The concept of purity is universal. In sacred texts, purity is often associated with the image of clean water free from contamination, refreshing and life-giving. Just as water must be filtered to remove impurities, so must our souls undergo a process of cleansing to remove the toxic elements that cloud our spiritual vision. These elements may include negative attitudes, selfish ambitions, or unresolved pain. Understanding purity involves identifying what contaminates your soul and being willing to confront and remove those elements. This understanding is also tied to purpose. When you know who you are and why you were created, you begin to understand the significance of spiritual purity. You realize that your life has a greater purpose to serve, to impact, to love. Anything that hinders your ability to fulfill this purpose becomes an obstacle to your spiritual clarity. Thus, purity becomes not just a personal pursuit, but a necessary step toward living a meaningful life. Spiritual purity is not about isolation or asceticism, it's about balance. It's the awareness that you live in the world but are not controlled by its fleeting desires and distractions. To maintain this balance, you must learn to navigate the pressures and challenges of life without losing your sense of identity and purpose. It means being in the world as an example of integrity, compassion, and truth, a reflection of divine principles. The nature of purity is rooted in transformation. It is the ongoing work of refining your character and spirit to align with what is good, true, and eternal. It requires commitment, patience, and faith. When you embrace the journey of purity, you discover not only the power to live freely, but also the ability to inspire others toward the same path. Spiritual purity is both a gift and a responsibility, one that unlocks the fullness of life and the clarity of divine connection. Acknowledging the need for spiritual purification is the critical first step toward transformation. Before change can occur, there must be a recognition that something within us requires refinement. This acknowledgement is not a sign of weakness, but of strength and self-awareness. It is the moment when we confront the reality that we all carry burdens, imperfections, and distractions that hinder us from living in alignment with our highest spiritual potential. Human nature, by its design, is imperfect. Each of us carries the weight of experiences, choices, and influences that have shaped us. Some of these are uplifting, while others may cloud our spiritual clarity. Pride, anger, resentment, guilt, and fear are just a few examples of the burdens that can accumulate in the soul. These burdens are not always obvious sometimes. They manifest subtly, influencing our decisions, relationships, and inner peace. Recognizing their presence is not about self-condemnation, but about self-awareness. One of the greatest obstacles to spiritual growth is denial. Many people refuse to acknowledge their need for purification, either out of fear of facing uncomfortable truths or a belief that they are already good enough. This mindset creates stagnation as it blocks the flow of growth and renewal. True transformation begins when we admit, I am not where I should be, but I am willing to take the steps to get there. It is a humbling realization, yet it is also empowering because it opens the door to progress. Acknowledging the need for purification also involves identifying the sources of spiritual contamination. These can come from external influences such as toxic relationships, unhealthy environments, or societal pressures. They can also arise internally through destructive habits, unresolved pain, or negative thought patterns. It takes courage and introspection to identify these sources, but doing so is essential for lasting change. This process is like diagnosing a problem before offering a cure. Without identifying the root issue, healing cannot occur. Another key aspect of this acknowledgement is understanding that purification is not about becoming someone else, it is about becoming the best version of yourself. Too often people associate spiritual growth with abandoning their identity or conforming to rigid standards. On the contrary, purification is about uncovering the true essence of who you are beneath the layers of hurt, fear, and distraction. It is about rediscovering the divine imprint within you and allowing it to shine more clearly. This need for purification is universal. No one is exempt from the process, regardless of their background, beliefs, or current spiritual state. Even the most devout individuals must continuously examine their hearts and minds to ensure they remain aligned with divine principles. Spiritual purification is not a one-time event, but an ongoing journey. Life's challenges, temptations, and distractions are constant, requiring us to regularly pause, reflect, and recalibrate. Acknowledging this need is also an act of faith. It is a declaration that you believe in the possibility of transformation, that no matter how far you feel from spiritual clarity, the path toward renewal is always open. It is a statement of hope, affirming that the Creator's grace and power are sufficient to cleanse, restore, and elevate you. When you admit your need for spiritual purification, you take the first step toward freedom. You position yourself for growth, allowing divine light to expose what needs to change and illuminate the path forward. This acknowledgement is not an end, it is the beginning of a journey that leads to wholeness, peace, and a deeper connection to your purpose. Humility is the foundation of spiritual purification. It is the posture of the heart that acknowledges our limitations, embraces correction, and opens us to growth. Without humility, the process of purification becomes impossible because pride blinds us to our flaws and blocks the grace needed for transformation. A humble heart is fertile ground for change, allowing divine wisdom to take root and flourish within us. At its core, humility is the recognition that we are not self-sufficient. We are created beings dependent on a Creator who provides life, purpose, and the means to thrive. This acknowledgement does not diminish our worth, but elevates it. It reminds us that we are part of something greater and that our potential is unlocked when we align ourselves with divine principles. Humility is not about thinking less of ourselves, but about thinking of ourselves in the right context, part of a greater divine plan. A heart of humility begins with self-awareness. It requires us to examine ourselves honestly without the veil of excuses or self-justification. This can be uncomfortable as it forces us to confront our imperfections, failures, and areas of resistance. Yet, humility allows us to do this without falling into despair or self-condemnation. It creates a safe space for reflection, rooted in the understanding that growth is a journey and that every step, no matter how small, is significant. Humility also fosters a willingness to accept guidance. Many people struggle with spiritual stagnation because they resist advice or correction. They believe they already know what's best or feel too proud to admit their need for help. A humble heart, however, understands the value of wisdom from others. It listens to trusted mentors, seeks insight from sacred texts, and remains open to divine instruction. This openness accelerates the process of purification as it brings clarity and direction to areas of confusion or struggle. Another essential aspect of humility is its role in relationships. Purity of spirit is not developed in isolation, it is forged in the context of community. A humble heart acknowledges the impact of others on our lives and vice versa. It seeks reconciliation, practices forgiveness, and places the needs of others above selfish ambitions. By doing so, humility breaks down barriers of pride, resentment, and division, creating a pathway for spiritual clarity and peace. Humility also teaches us to release control. Many of us hold tightly to our plans, desires, and timelines, believing we know what's best. This can lead to frustration and disillusionment when things don't go as expected. A humble heart surrenders this illusion of control, trusting the Creator's wisdom and timing. It acknowledges that purification is not achieved through our strength alone, but through grace. This surrender brings freedom, allowing us to move forward with faith instead of fear. Humility connects us to a higher purpose. It reminds us that our lives are not just about personal fulfillment, but about serving others and glorifying the Creator. A humble heart seeks to align its actions with this purpose, prioritizing love, integrity, and service over selfish gain. In doing so, it creates a life that reflects divine values and inspires others to pursue their own journey of purification. A heart of humility is the doorway to spiritual transformation. It positions us to receive, grow, and thrive, making us vessels of purity and light in a world that desperately needs both. Cultivating a relationship with the divine is central to spiritual purification. This relationship is not about rigid rituals or empty traditions, but about a genuine, ongoing connection with the Creator. It is through this connection that we are guided, transformed, and renewed, allowing us to experience a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and clarity. At its essence, this relationship is built on communication. Just as relationships between people thrive on meaningful dialogue, so does our relationship with the divine. Prayer and meditation are foundational practices that create space for this interaction. Prayer allows us to speak openly, sharing our gratitude, struggles, and desires, while meditation provides an opportunity to listen to quiet the noise of life and tune in to divine wisdom. Together, these practices foster intimacy, helping us to draw closer and align our hearts with divine principles. Building this relationship also requires consistency. Just as a close friendship or marriage is nurtured through regular interaction, so too is our spiritual connection. It's not enough to reach out only in moments of crisis or need. Consistency strengthens trust, deepens understanding, and cultivates a sense of familiarity with the Creator's presence. Setting aside time daily for reflection, prayer, or studying sacred texts can anchor this relationship, making it an integral part of life rather than an occasional afterthought. Trust is another vital component. A strong relationship with the divine involves surrendering control and trusting in the Creator's plan, even when life feels uncertain or challenging. Trust requires faith, the belief that the divine knows what is best for us, even when we don't understand the path we're on. This trust brings peace, allowing us to release anxiety and focus on aligning ourselves with higher purposes. This relationship also involves a deep sense of reverence. Recognizing the greatness of the divine cultivates humility and awe. It reminds us of the vastness of the Creator's power, wisdom, and love, helping us to put our own lives into perspective. Reverence inspires gratitude for the blessings we often take for granted and motivates us to live in a way that honors the one who created us. An authentic relationship with the divine is transformative. It is impossible to draw closer without being changed. Through this connection, we begin to see ourselves more clearly, not through the lens of self-doubt or societal standards, but through the eyes of the Creator who sees our potential and worth. This perspective helps us identify areas in need of purification and empowers us to address them with grace and determination. This relationship is not just personal but communal. It connects us to others who are also seeking spiritual growth, creating a sense of unity and shared purpose. The divine's love flows through these relationships, reminding us that we are part of a larger family and that our journey is intertwined with the journeys of others. In cultivating this relationship, we discover the source of true spiritual purification. It is not through our own efforts alone that we are made whole, but through the power of the divine working within us. This relationship is a wellspring of strength, guidance, and renewal, enabling us to live with purpose, integrity, and peace. It is the foundation upon which a pure and meaningful life is built. Letting go of toxic influences is a crucial step in spiritual purification. These influences, whether external or internal, act as barriers that cloud our spiritual clarity and hinder our ability to connect with divine principles. To purify the soul, we must first identify and release the toxins that pollute it, allowing room for growth, renewal, and alignment with our higher purpose. Toxic influences come in many forms. Externally, they may include unhealthy relationships, environments that breed negativity, or societal pressures that prioritize materialism, selfishness, or superficial success over deeper values. Internally, they manifest as destructive habits, harmful thought patterns, or unresolved emotional pain. Recognizing these influences requires self-awareness and honesty. Often, the very things we hold on to for comfort or familiarity are the same things that keep us spiritually stagnant. The process of letting go begins with a willingness to confront these influences. Denial is one of the greatest obstacles to spiritual growth. It is easier to overlook or justify toxic behaviors and environments than to face the discomfort of change. However, purification requires us to move beyond this comfort zone, to confront the truth of what is weighing us down, and to make a conscious choice to release it. Toxic relationships, for instance, can be particularly challenging to address. These are connections that drain rather than uplift, that encourage negative behaviors or attitudes instead of promoting growth. While compassion and forgiveness are essential in any relationship, maintaining ties that consistently harm our spirit can prevent us from progressing. Letting go does not always mean severing ties entirely sometimes. It means establishing boundaries or reorienting the relationship in a healthier direction. However, in some cases, stepping away entirely is necessary to preserve spiritual health. Letting go of internal toxins demands a commitment to self-examination. This includes identifying habits or patterns that no longer serve our spiritual well-being, such as harboring resentment, indulging in negative self-talk, or chasing goals that conflict with our values. These internal toxins often take root in past experiences, traumas, or unmet expectations. Addressing them may involve seeking forgiveness, both from others and from ourselves, and releasing the emotional weight that has been carried for too long. The process of release is not about perfection, but progress. Letting go is often gradual, requiring patience and persistence. It is important to approach this journey with grace, understanding that growth takes time and that setbacks are a natural part of the process. What matters is the commitment to moving forward, one step at a time, toward a purer and more purposeful life. Letting go also creates space for what is good, true, and life-giving. When we release toxic influences, we make room for divine wisdom, love, and peace to fill the void. This openness allows us to connect more deeply with the Creator and to align our lives with principles that foster wholeness and fulfillment. Ultimately, letting go of toxic influences is an act of faith. It is a declaration that you trust the Creator to guide you toward what is best, even when letting go feels uncertain or painful. It is a step toward freedom, clarity, and spiritual renewal, a necessary part of the journey toward a purified life. Embracing discipline and accountability is fundamental to the process of spiritual purification. Purity is not achieved by accident or through fleeting moments of inspiration. It requires intentional effort and a structured approach to nurturing the soul. Discipline provides the framework for consistent growth, while accountability ensures that we stay true to the path, even when it becomes challenging. Together, they form a powerful combination for transformation. Discipline is often misunderstood as rigid or restrictive, but in the context of spiritual purification, it is liberating. It creates habits and practices that sustain your spiritual health, much like regular exercise strengthens the body. Discipline helps you remain focused on what truly matters, even amidst the distractions and pressures of daily life. Through disciplined practices such as prayer, meditation, fasting, or studying sacred texts, you create opportunities for renewal and alignment with divine principles. These practices become anchors, keeping you grounded and connected to your higher purpose. The key to effective discipline is consistency. Sporadic efforts may bring temporary relief, but lasting transformation requires regular commitment. Consistency builds momentum, reinforcing positive patterns and making them an integral part of your life. For instance, setting aside time each day for reflection or spiritual study ensures that your relationship with the divine remains a priority rather than an afterthought. Over time, these consistent actions shape your character and refine your spirit, bringing you closer to the purity you seek. Discipline also involves making conscious choices. Purification requires you to prioritize what aligns with your values and let go of what doesn't. This might mean declining activities or relationships that distract you from your spiritual goals, even if they seem appealing in the moment. It's about learning to say no to what hinders your growth so you can say yes to what nurtures your soul. Accountability is the companion to discipline. It provides the support and structure needed to sustain your efforts over the long term. True accountability starts with being honest with yourself. It involves regularly assessing your progress, acknowledging where you've fallen short, and making adjustments as needed. This self-awareness is not about self-condemnation, but about learning and growing from your experiences. Accountability is also strengthened through relationships. Sharing your journey with trusted mentors, friends, or spiritual guides creates a network of encouragement and support. These individuals can offer wisdom, challenge you when needed, and celebrate your progress. They hold you accountable not out of judgment, but out of a shared desire to see you flourish. Knowing that someone else is invested in your growth can be a powerful motivator to stay disciplined, even when the journey becomes difficult. Embracing discipline and accountability also requires patience. Spiritual purification is not a quick fix, but a lifelong process. There will be moments of struggle and times when progress feels slow or invisible. Discipline keeps you moving forward, while accountability reminds you that you are not alone in the process. Together, they help you maintain perspective and perseverance, trusting that every effort contributes to your transformation. Discipline and accountability lead to freedom. By committing to a structured approach and welcoming support from others, you free yourself from the chaos of inconsistency and the weight of unchecked behaviors. You align your life with divine principles, creating space for clarity, peace, and purpose. This is the power of discipline and accountability, a path to lasting spiritual purification and growth. Forgiveness is a cornerstone of spiritual purification, offering freedom from the burdens of resentment, anger, and guilt that weigh heavily on the soul. It is an act of grace that clears the path for renewal, allowing us to release what hinders our spiritual growth and embrace a life of peace and purpose. Practicing forgiveness is not always easy, but it is essential for purification, as it directly impacts our ability to connect with the divine and live with clarity and freedom. The first step in forgiveness is understanding its true nature. Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongdoing or minimizing the pain caused by others. Instead, it is a conscious decision to let go of the emotional weight that comes from holding on to grievances. When we cling to anger or bitterness, we allow the offense to take up space in our hearts, blocking the flow of divine love and peace. Forgiveness is the act of releasing this grip, not for the benefit of the offender, but for our own spiritual well-being. One of the most challenging aspects of forgiveness is recognizing its dual application, forgiving others and forgiving ourselves. When others hurt us, the pain can run deep, leaving scars that seem impossible to heal. Yet, holding on to resentment only deepens the wound. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or allowing harmful behaviors to continue. It means choosing to move forward without the burden of bitterness. It is an act of liberation, freeing ourselves from the chains of the past. Equally important is self-forgiveness. Many people carry guilt and shame for past mistakes, believing they are unworthy of grace or redemption. This self-condemnation becomes a barrier to spiritual purity, as it prevents us from fully embracing the love and forgiveness that the divine offers. Acknowledging our shortcomings is essential, but dwelling on them is not. Self-forgiveness allows us to learn from our mistakes, seek reconciliation when needed, and move forward with a renewed commitment to living a life of integrity and purpose. Practicing forgiveness requires humility and empathy. It demands that we acknowledge our own imperfections and recognize that others too are flawed and in need of grace. This perspective fosters compassion, making it easier to release anger and extend forgiveness. It reminds us that just as we seek mercy for our faults, we are called to extend the same mercy to those who wrong us. Forgiveness also aligns us with divine principles. Sacred texts and spiritual teachings consistently emphasize the importance of forgiveness as a reflection of divine love. By choosing to forgive, we mirror the Creator's nature, embodying values of grace, mercy, and compassion. This alignment not only purifies our spirit, but also strengthens our relationship with the divine, deepening our sense of purpose and peace. The process of forgiveness is not always instantaneous. It may take time to fully release the pain and resentment associated with a hurtful experience. This is why forgiveness must be approached as a journey rather than a one-time event. Patience, prayer, and reflection are essential tools for navigating this journey. Each step forward, no matter how small, contributes to the purification of the soul and the restoration of inner peace. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It is the key that unlocks the door to spiritual freedom, allowing us to shed the burdens of the past and step into a future of clarity, joy, and connection with the divine. Through forgiveness, we cleanse our hearts, align with divine love, and pave the way for lasting spiritual growth. Living a life of love and service is the ultimate expression of spiritual purification. Once the heart is cleansed of pride, resentment, and distractions, it becomes a vessel for divine love to flow freely. This love is not meant to remain confined within. It is designed to be shared through acts of service, compassion, and kindness. By living in this way, we reflect the essence of spiritual purity and fulfill our higher purpose. Love, in its purest form, is selfless and unconditional. It transcends personal gain, ego, or recognition. It is a reflection of divine nature, a force that heals, unites, and uplifts. Living a life of love means aligning every thought, word, and action with this principle. It is about choosing kindness over conflict, understanding over judgment, and generosity over selfishness. When we act from a place of love, we not only transform our own lives, but also influence those around us, creating a ripple effect of positivity and connection. Service is the practical application of love. It is love in action, expressed through our willingness to help, support, and uplift others. Service does not always require grand gestures. It can be as simple as listening to someone in need, offering a helping hand, or encouraging those who feel disheartened. These small acts of kindness are profound because they demonstrate a heart that is aligned with divine values. Service shifts our focus from self-centered desires to the needs of others, fostering humility and gratitude. A life of love and service also requires empathy and compassion. Empathy allows us to see the world through the eyes of others, to understand their struggles and to connect with their humanity. Compassion motivates us to act on that understanding, offering support and care without judgment. These qualities are hallmarks of a spiritually purified heart because they reflect an awareness of the interconnectedness of all life. Living in this way demands consistency. It's not about occasional acts of kindness, but a sustained commitment to embodying love and service as a lifestyle. Challenges and conflicts will inevitably arise, but a purified heart responds with patience, forgiveness, and a willingness to seek resolution. This consistency builds character and creates a life that radiates integrity and authenticity. Importantly, living a life of love and service does not mean neglecting yourself. True love includes self-care and self-respect, ensuring that you remain whole and capable of giving to others. It is only when we are spiritually nourished that we can effectively serve and uplift those around us. Balance is key, as it ensures that our acts of love come from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion or obligation. This way of life also deepens our connection with the divine. When we live in love and service, we align with the Creator's purpose for humanity to love one another and to steward the world with care and compassion. This alignment brings a profound sense of peace and fulfillment as we live not just for ourselves, but as instruments of divine will. A life of love and service is the highest expression of spiritual purification. It transforms the soul, elevates the spirit, and leaves a lasting impact on the world. By choosing to live this way, we not only purify our own hearts, but also become beacons of light and hope, inspiring others to embark on their own journeys of love, service, and spiritual growth. In conclusion, spiritual purification is a journey, a deliberate, transformative process that aligns our hearts with the divine and enables us to live with clarity, purpose, and peace. It is not an overnight transformation, but a commitment to continual growth, guided by principles that elevate our spirit and refine our character. As we cultivate humility, deepen our relationship with the Creator, release toxic influences, and embrace discipline and accountability, we create space for profound transformation. By practicing forgiveness and living a life of love and service, we not only purify our own hearts, but also contribute to a world that reflects divine truth, compassion, and grace. Remember, this journey is deeply personal, yet its effects are universal. Your efforts to purify your spirit have the power to inspire and uplift others, becoming a source of light in a world often overshadowed by darkness. Spiritual purification is not just about changing yourself, it's about becoming a vessel through which love, peace, and divine purpose can flow freely. Let us commit to this path, embracing the challenges and cherishing the growth it brings. For in the pursuit of spiritual purification, we don't just find clarity and connection, we discover the truest essence of who we are and the boundless potential of what we can become.